I'm sure all of you have a 5-year plan or a goal book where you have defined what success is. I have one too. When I was your age, some 15 years back, and my goal book read, goal number 1, to own this sprawling 3 BHK sea-facing Mumbai apartment on Marine Drive. Goal number 2 was to travel the world, stand on the top of Eiffel Tower in Paris and have the best beer in Germany and sunbathe on the beaches of Miami. And goal number 3 was to secure a high-flying corporate IT job in Mumbai. Because supposedly, in my head, that is how I would get my goal number 1 and goal number 2. So, like any other small town Ranchi girl, I pursued my engineering degree. That's right, an electrical electronics engineer is standing right at And, oh, by the way, I also secured my high-flying corporate IT job in Mumbai too. And from there, I started this rat race for success. And this rat race for success was directly proportional to long hours at work, even more longer hours of partying, followed by junk food into my system, followed by lesser and lesser number of hours of sleep to no sleep. And this vicious cycle of self-abuse continued, not just for days, but for months, and then for years. Because that success looked so sweet. But somehow, no matter how hard I worked, it was never in my reach. And this cycle of hard work, failure continued till after 5 years, at the age of 25, I was left with feelings of complete insecurity and a feeling of a complete loser. And I found myself at the age of 25 holding a bottle of sleeping pills and popping it one by one into my guts. And thanks to my sister, my savior, who rushed me to the hospital on time. Otherwise, there would be a Sucheta Pal 11 years back with organs failing one by one, and then no Sucheta Pal. But here I stand, hale and hearty, in front of you 10 years later at the age of 36. By the way, still no 3 BHK apartment on my name in Mumbai. But definitely having traveled the world. I have stood at the top of Eiffel Tower in Paris and had the best beer in Germany, sunbathed on the beaches of Miami, had the best sushi in Japan, danced in the rains of London, and salsa'd my way in Mexico. And somewhere in between, I married the man of my dreams. Somewhere in between, I squeezed in being selected as an ambassador for one of the biggest fitness formats of the world, which is Zumba. And somewhere in between, I also squeezed in shaking hands with the President of India at Rashtrapati Bhavan. But flashback. So the day I was lying down on the bed of the ICU and I had these doctors hovering around me and they gave me a title, Acute Social Anxiety Disorder. And I'll tell you what it means. It means that 10 years back, if I had to enter an elevator with even one person standing there, my heart would start pounding outside of my body. It means that if I had to give a 5-line report in the conference room of my corporate office, I would be running to the washroom 5 times. And it means that if I was asked to give a TEDx speech 10 years back, first of all, I would have given the worst abuses possible to that person, and then thrown up 10 times before entering this room. So at the age of 25, I was proposed therapy for a year. And for a year, till the age of 26, I only saw the rooms of psychiatrists and psychologists in and out of those doors. And every time I came out of those doors, I saw one face, always smiling, with no judgment whatsoever, always strong. And that was the face of my then boyfriend, now husband. I know. And I realized after a year that the only therapy that was working was that boyfriend, and my childhood passion was for dance. So obviously, I forced the boyfriend to marry me. And I took the toughest decision of my life, and that is to completely waste my parents' life savings that they put in to make me an engineer. I quit my high-flying IT corporate job and decided to pursue my dance career professionally in Mumbai. And oh boy, was it tough to fall suddenly from a 30,000 salary every month to 5,000, to literally live on vada paos for morning breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And to sustain my professional dance training, I had to do 3 part-time jobs. And one of them was wearing a sari, imagine me in that, and taking local trains and buses of Mumbai and going from municipal school to sell books for an NGO for a 5% commission. So my ego is somewhere down there, 10 feet buried under the floor. And I think Lady Luck took some pity on me, and destiny took me all the way to the US in 2009. And that's where I discovered my very first hack for success. So my very first hack is to align ourselves with people. To align ourselves with people who have the same principles in life as you. People who believe in value add, people who believe in service, people who believe in changing lives. Because people make good brands, people make good companies, and people make phenomenal governments. I remember my very first Zumba Fitness class. I entered the studio. It was a 7 o'clock Sunday class. It was a snowy morning, and I thought it would hardly be any people over there. But as I opened the door, I saw 80 people standing there. And for some reason, they were very happy for a Sunday morning. And I came to know very, very soon why. So after 5 minutes, the door opened, and this lady entered, and she was huge, like huge. And as she entered, people went ballistic. They started screaming and shouting and hooting and hollering and giving her a high five and cheering for her. And she ran through the door and entered, jumped onto the stage, put on the music, greeted everyone, and started to teach. She was our Zumba instructor. And my life changed forever. It was the moment I realized who I want to align with what I want to be aligned. Because I couldn't find a moment anywhere in my life where I wasn't being judged for my shape and size or for who I am. She wasn't being judged for her shape and size. In fact, she was inspiring the lot of us to just move towards a healthier and fitter lifestyle. She was inspiring a 16-year-old and a 60-year-old to smile as we were sweating. And I was hooked on to the people, I was hooked on to the brand, and I was hooked on to the company. I'm not in love with Zumba Fitness because it spans across 186 countries, but because it has been able to move my Sindhi mother-in-law in Thane after 65 years of her life. She's actually entered a gym. I'm in love, I'm in love with this program, not just because it has collaborated with Steve Aoki and Jason Derulo and Megan Trainor to create music, but because I have instructors from Raipur to Ranchi, from Pune to Cochin, who are teaching in colleges as a part-time job, and I have army wives in Jammu and Kashmir who are teaching a Zumba class right now at an Udhampur cantonment. How lucky am I? I've been lucky to have been associated with this brand for the last 8 years. And I have chosen to be part of it because they believe in changing lives in reality and not how many likes they have virtually. I have chosen life over likes. And when you finally find the people that you want to align with, the company and the brand, own it and then represent it proudly. But success always has two sides of the coin. The other side of that success coin is you. It's value add. What value add can you bring to the table? If you have been paid to bake a cake, You have to make it delicious, but also add that extra whipped cream and cherry on top. So I remember my very first Zumba fitness class in the US. I had just 4 students. I was supposed to teach from 8 o'clock in the morning, teach a 60-minute class and leave at 9 o'clock. I would get $20 at the end of the week. I wasn't expected to come 1 hour before class and spend time with a senior instructor and get to learn some new teaching tips so that I can learn a little more teaching tips and teach a little better to my 4 students. I wasn't expected to stay back after 1 hour after class finished and spend time knowing my 4 students a little better. I wasn't expected to spend hours on my weekends and learn fitness concepts better so that I can teach squats and lunges to my 4 students for 1 class a week. But I did. And I did it with no idea that after a month, I would get a call from one of the biggest studios of Connecticut where I was teaching. I was clueless that after 2 years, I would get a call from the office of the CEO of Zumba and offering me the role of the first Zumba education specialist of India. And I had no idea that after 8 years, I would get a call from the Ministry of Women and Child Development by Madam Maneka Gandhi, and she would call me to stand beside a Bajendri Pal and Deepak Karmakar at Rashtrapati Bhavan. I had no idea. All I knew that I had to add that extra whipped cream and cherry on top for my 4 students. Value add is like a karma cycle. It's like investing in a mutual fund. You keep on adding those SIPs monthly, and your financial advisor tells you, hey, don't look at your account for 5 years. But when you actually see it, it's exploding. And that's the trick. You have to value add without any ulterior motive, genuinely, and without any expectation of return. So here I go giving you exactly the same thing, of value adds without any expectation of return. And that is my last and third hack for success, which is gratitude. The journey over these years has shown me the glorious lights of success and the darkest hours of failure. And I've come to realize that people are the most important thing. People are the reason I'm standing here, just not because I have worked so hard. I'm a recipient of a lot of value adds from each of them, and I owe it to them. I owe it to them to wake up every day of my life and answer hundreds of messages and calls from the aspirants who reach out to me for guidance, whether it is a 7 a.m. call in the morning or it's a 12 o'clock message at night. I owe it to them to rehearse for hours before I get on that stage and I teach. I owe it to them to wake up every weekend of my life and take a flight and a train and reach a training venue to every nook and corner of India and to train my instructors. I owe it to the husband who stood outside those rooms of psychologists for a year. I owe it to my very first Zumba instructor, and I owe it to the amazing community of Zumba instructors who are changing people's life one person at a time, one move at a time, and one shimmy at a time. I owe it to them with all the courage I can, because I am responsible to play the role, not just for 1 hour or 5 hours a day, but 24/7. You know, they say that it's very lonely at the top. But if you have gratitude for the people who have been with you from ground zero and you take them along with you, it's a party up there. And I say dream big, and make a dress of dreams, tailor make it, and then work so hard that you fit right into it one day. So here I am, Sucheta Pal, dreaming big again, and again opening my goal book with my 5-year plan, which says now, goal number 1, to align myself with the government and to create an environment of change, of an industry where fitness is recognized as an alternate career for women. Goal number 2, with the help of you and me, with the support of the amazing fitness community, make people move not only in the Delhis and Bombays, but also make them move in the 2 and 3 tier cities. And goal number 3 still remains to own that 3 BHK sea-facing apartments in Mumbai. This is Sucheta Pal signing off, and see you in 5 years, hopefully with all of those goals and especially that apartment. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.